Hello and welcome. Um, in this video, I want to continue to expand and then basically draw more awareness on the innate nuance of mind expansion, or human expansion, or us reaching new multidimensional interpretations of ourselves. And so, in this particular time, right, um, and and I'm continuing from the previous subject, we have left ourselves in a set of circumstances where we are recognizing that the choice of ourselves to experience life now on a larger standpoint is something that is quite literally and apparently maybe to us for the first time has been our choice into this incarnation or into this physical form, from the start of this life. And so the nuance and the vastness of experience that we will start to shift into and then perceive um, has possibly been, or in reality has been, um, vastly different than the previous set of experiences where we felt like we owned the world, and we felt like we knew everything, where we felt like our experience could be experienced to its fullest potential. Um, but now, in this recognition, we're now experiencing something much vaster and much greater than we have even imagined to be a set of experiences before, right? So that the net difference, and this is what I want to discuss, is that net difference, that net change from what we thought was the full experience of self to, for the first time, opening our eyes to the understanding that what we thought was the full experience of self was possibly not. And then what we are starting to work our way into and what we are starting to experience is the largest globalized, if not, you know, larger than global set of experiences and set of consciousness and set of perception uh, on an individualized interpretation of being. So I'm not saying a global experience is becoming larger, right? That is still a three-dimensional interpretation of our three-dimensional self to say, oh, well, now that we're global beings, therefore our experience is vaster because simply by the nature of the size that we are able to explore and interpret or to interact with our globe. But what I'm actually touching on here is the idea of the global experience is now becoming our reality, not as a cumulative culture, not as a cumulative generation, not as a cumulative race, but as a cumulative interpretation of ourselves as one, as me, myself, in this body. What I'm starting to experience on is not myself interacting with the world on the global level, but me, myself, as the global being. And so the importance of that nuance and the importance of that interpretation is cannot be overstated. The idea that you are now having to see yourself as a global being, and then what's more important, you will start to feel yourself as the global being, right? um which is a task to take, right? It's a large task to take, because if you can think of everything that has been our reality thus far, and we were, we would able to fit it and contained it in one little box, but to go globally and then to interpret self globally and multidimensionally and on the largest scope of self possible, um needs to be recognized as the change, right? You need to see the scope at which you're starting to experience your new version of reality. on again on individual basis, right? This what I'm talking about, this experience, very important to emphasize this is an individualized experience that you will be experiencing as self, but it will feel larger than large. And so again, take it easy and then see through the process, right? If you understand what the process is taking you, you will be able to cope with or understand the vastness of things coming at you, or things becoming you, or more accurately, you becoming things, from a much calmer and much more centered standpoint. If you can understand the process that is taking place, possibly invisible, unbeknownst to you, right? So that scale can feel very overwhelming. The idea of you being something different than you have experienced before can be vaster than vast. Um, but recognize this is the nuance, right? This is the story of you having to come here into this reincarnation with the choice of experiencing a finite quantity of being, to all of a sudden experiencing infinite interpretation of you as I. And, you know, just thinking about the scale of that scale can be overwhelming, right? Just talking about me channeling this information out. I'm feeling the vastness of the vast, but the scale behind it is vaster than I can even take it into this form. And so just recognize that if you understand that this is what the experience is, you can ease into it and simply allow it to take place, allow it to happen, right? Again, the kind of the emphasis here, do not shut it off from the simple overwhelm of it being too much. Do not live in fear and freak out about the net change that is all of a sudden not the old you used to know. And again, simply allow it to be so. um, Recognize that this experience of self is the choice that you have always made into the future, to where then you can experience this difference. And so in this change lays an experience of within itself of being able to perceive the transitionary form of being from the containment to the total, you know, um, expansion of being. And so mm, allow it to be you, as that has always been your decision. But understand it from the standpoint of choice. Understand it from the standpoint of the vastness of the possibility that it does and will bring. And then understand it that the path forward, by default, is renewed and renewed, and thus almost innately will take you into this direction, because that is the choice of self that you have made by being here in this plane, in this reincarnated version of your being. um that you can then perceive new sets of realities. But in that sense, really what it comes down to, that you can start to experience the process of expansion itself as an experience. And then, of course, much less so live in the place of expansion, uh, all of which you're already familiar with. But the but living in the space of recognition of expansion is a very unique experience, and so that is a thing of in itself. If we had to quantify it, I will not box things up because it would do disservice. But that is an experience. That is an amazing experience to go through the shift itself, right? And so, all of us here are going through the shift ourselves, having made a choice to come here to go through the shift. But the again, the shift is not necessarily the the experience post the shift is not the actual goal, is the experience of the shift, that needs to be stayed with and and observed, um, and absorbed, and then we can draw our own truth from that, as an epiphany of being. A new epiphany of being is that we are in this amazing time where we are starting to experience the world from the standpoint of being able to notice that our shifting, is causing us to experience the world, right? And then again, all of it is the choice. And so the choice of where this goes, the choice of how you perceive it, the choice of how you let it flow, the choice into the shift or not the shift, which might not be an option, but a choice of how you perceive the shift is indeed a choice, right? We have the free will of choice. But then what will we decide to take out of that experience, right? What is the net outlook that we can look back at and go, oh, that is how it felt, that is how it was, and that is the interpretation thereof, and that that is beauty within itself. And so recognize that you can be there, you can be in the place, um, of the same, and then knowing that you're changing and shifting and morphing, and then at the same time recognize that this is the new reality, right? This is the new form of being. This is the new you. And then give yourself time. Again, I will repeat this. Just give yourself grace to be that, to allow yourself a new form of consciousness, new form of expansion, new form of being, and see where that goes. Thank you.